When it comes to direct mail, most investors either do it once and give up, or they never even try because they don't know what to send the seller. Like, what exact piece should I send them? And what exactly should the piece say? Or what should I even say to the seller when they call, if they even call? Ultimately, they fear, what if it doesn't work? And what if I don't get any deals from it? Today, we're gonna cover the winning strategy that we are seeing in our business and what we're seeing winning in our students' businesses. If you're new here, I'm Josh High. I'm the co-founder of Heels Homes and Results Driven REI alongside my beautiful wife and business partner, Tiffany High. After experiencing over 2,000 real estate transactions and coaching over 5,000 students nationwide, I can confidently tell you that we have made every mistake that there is to make, and now we help investors just like you to make sure that you don't make those same mistakes and help you get to what we call option freedom. That's where you have the ability to do what you want, when you want, and with who you want. The winning strategy that we're seeing today is not mass blanket mail. It's not getting an absentee list and mailing all of those people, hoping and praying that some of them are distressed. No, we're going right to the distress. We focus on what we call courthouse data. And we're gonna look at today, as an example, focusing on foreclosures. Okay, so some of the other lists that we see winning right now are things like pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, auctions, tax liens, water shutoffs, liens, probates, pre-probates, anything that you can get from the courthouse with a heightened distressor is what we're seeing winning. But it's not just about mailing to those people. It's about talking specifically to their distress. See, what worked in 2020, 2021, 22, 23, and even parts of 24 was just one mail piece to a large list with different distressors. You know, it could be the same piece going to a foreclosure, as a auction, as a probate, as a tax lien, and that worked until it didn't. What we're seeing working now is we send a postcard first, and in fact, I'm gonna put a link in the description if you guys want to see the exact mail pieces that we're using. You guys will be able to access them there. But what we do is we send a postcard first, right? The moment someone hits foreclosure, they're getting this postcard, and on the postcard it's saying, here's our commitment to you. We will help you stop your foreclosure and catch up on your mortgage. Right? It goes through all these options. There's these check boxes here. But what we're trying to do is say, hey, we understand that this is the situation that you're going through. You have options. Here's the things that we can help walk you through. So how can you save your house? Then the goal is that, all right, once they realize they can't save the house, then they realize they have to sell it. Okay, well, what are the options for selling it? Right? We're gonna talk through all of those things. So first goes out this postcard, then 7 days later, not a long time, 7 days later, this letter goes out. Same approach. This isn't a, hey, I'm a local investor, I'm trying to buy your house, or I'm trying to purchase properties. It's, hey, we see that you're in foreclosure and we have options, or you have options, and we will help you understand those options to help you get out of this situation. So when you think of the other lists or the other courthouse data lists that you can target, if it's a probate, talk to the probate situation and how you've helped other people in the past. This is the winning strategy that's happening right now. No longer is the vague mass marketing working. We've got to speak to the specific niche data and their challenges to help them pick up the phone, call us, and then that's where we run through our sales process to help convert those leads. Now, what typically happens when someone tries direct mail and then they end up giving up, it's because they didn't know exactly what to expect. They just took money, they threw it at the wall, and they're like, I'm gonna spend $2,000 and hopefully it works. You know, one of my favorite stories that Alex Hormozi has shared was he talked about how one of his mentors, when he was growing his first gym, said, hey, you should take these flyers and you should print them out and go put them in car doors or the car windshields. And so, you know, he's like, oh, you know what, I can go do 300 today. So he prints out 300 flyers and he goes, puts them on the cars, and he gets, you know, he goes back and he's anxiously waiting, and he gets one phone call. And that phone call was from someone who was mad that he put that flyer on their car. And so he goes back to his mentor and he's like, what the heck? You said this strategy worked, but I got one phone call, and that phone call was someone who was mad at me. They didn't want to join the gym. And his mentor's like, well, hold on. How many pieces did you send out? And he goes, well, 300. And he goes, well, we send out, I think he said like 10,000 as a test run. And that's when he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't have the right expectations going into this, and this is the exact same thing here. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we reverse engineer. Said another way, what is reverse engineering? Well, we've got to backtrack our numbers and calculate exactly what to expect based on what we call industry standard stats. So what we start off with is, let's say we want to do one deal, okay? One deal, industry standard stat is 42 call-ins should yield a deal. Now guys, there's a lot that goes into that conversion. If you're really good at sales, you might convert better than that. If you're terrible at sales, you might convert worse than that. What's important is that we set a target now, measure our results over time, and then we can set better expectations for our second campaign, our third campaign, fourth campaign, and so on. So one deal, 42 call-ins to get a contract. And typically what we have seen is people should expect about a 0.5% response rate. Okay, so that if that's a decimal, it's 0.005. Okay, because if it was 0.05, that's actually 5%, but we want 0.5% of a response rate. So if I want one deal, that means I need 42 calls. Now let's take 42 calls and divide that by our response rate of 0.5%, which then shows us that we need to send out 8,400 mail pieces. Okay, 8,400 mail pieces go out, 42 calls come in based on the industry standard stat, and I should be able to land that one deal. Now, let's just use this as an example. How much money should I spend? How much is it going to cost me to send out 8,400 mail pieces? Well, if it's a postcard that costs 50 cents, that makes numbers really easy here. That means I'm going to have to spend $4,200 to get a deal. And if I spent $2,000 thinking I was going to get a deal, you see where the expectations might be misaligned. Well, picture and imagine this. What if you focus on your sales skills, right? You get good at sales, you get better at converting, and let's say you convert one deal out of 20 call-ins. How does that impact the numbers? Well, let's reverse engineer this. If we get one deal from 20 call-ins with the same response rate of 0.5%, that means we only have to send 4,000 pieces now in order to get our 20 call-ins, because now we've gotten better at sales to convert that one deal. And if we're using the same mail piece at 50 cents per piece, now all of a sudden we can spend $2,000 to get that contract. This is the importance of reverse engineering to set proper expectations, tracking our performance, and based on what we see from our performance, we can then go look at what areas we need to improve on, like, for example, sales. If we want to get better at sales, then that can drive down a better conversion, which then drives a better cost to acquire, right? What do I mean by cost to acquire? How much I have to spend to get a contract. When I can drive down the cost that it takes to get a contract and I'm able to maintain the same average profit per deal, that helps us increase our ROI. And that's the ultimate goal. That's business in a nutshell. How do I increase my conversions, decrease my cost to acquire, and increase my profit or keep it the same to help increase that ROI? Guys, this is exactly what we do in Results Driven. We teach these types of systems and processes, the systems and processes that we've put in our business to help us have more confidence in outcomes, to set better expectations, to help us have continuous business improvement. We actually have a class coming up where we cover things like these systems and processes, among other systems and processes that we use in our business. So if you guys want to join, there's a link in the bio. Looking forward to seeing you guys there.